All right, we're back again, and stuff actually happens this time. So,
Yay!
Mike, go ahead.
All right, this is episode 2, Unfamiliar Ceilings. Shinji wakes up in the hospital, unable to remember the fight against the angel the night before. Gendo wants nothing to do with him, so Nerve's head of operations, the young and attractive Captain Misato Katsuragi, becomes his legal guardian. Settling into life in Misato's apartment, he eventually recalls the furious battle. So this episode, things actually happen. Well, kind of.
The in media resia.
Well, first off, this is one I love when you finally get to see that the big Ava finally move. Like in the first part, it's like they still give it weight, even though this episode also introduces Ava's moving in a wildly more aggressive manner.
Mm-hmm.
They still give it weight, though. I still kind of laugh that Ava Unit 1 still trips and falls,
Yes.
and then the angel just kind of walks over. He's like, "Hey, buddy, let me get you up."
Yeah. Oh man. They operate more like caged animals versus what most mechs operate as, like slow working, like old school golems. And I always loved that about this. I was just like, that's a rabid animal, and I love it.
I know, yeah. That's. I think that's what made Ava's unique. They were like more animalistic, especially when we get to the part where Shinji actually remembers what happens, and that was distinct because, yeah, like you said, most giant robot anime were very much just giant walking titans and whatnot. Like it stood out from when you compare that to like the Big O and whatnot and what have you, where it was just like a slow, trudging colossus of a machine.
Yeah, with most mechs, you're either just like sitting in a pilot seat, or it's like G Gundam, where you're kind of like in this like full body suit, and you get to actually like punch and do all the things.
The Pacific Rims of the olden time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I definitely like this episode a lot more. I definitely like the dynamics between Shinji and Misato more, just because it felt like a brother and sister kind of dynamic, or like the fun aunt in a way.
Yes.
So some of that dialogue gets a little squicky.
I'm not gonna try anything with them. It was a joke. Why are you getting mad at me?
It's like red flag.
Like, to be in the 90s again.
Yeah. I think the ADV dub, if I remember correctly, was a little more suggestive than that, but
oh god.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
Of course.
So let me look it up. I just had it up. We have some more new voice actors this time. The where is he? The guy with the glasses, Keel Lorenz, the one one of the businessmen that Shinji's dad was talking to. Yep. Instead of being voiced by Rick Peebles, never heard of him, he's voiced by Albert Wesker himself in the Netflix dub, DC Douglas.
DC Douglas.
Yeah, and
Crash.
And we are also introduced to the best character of Evangelion, Pen.
We've only seen him for like 2 seconds, and I already love him.
Mike, if we could have gave you, if I would have thought if we were going to operate this like a game show, like we were watching these things live, I would have paused purposely and gave him 1 billion guesses of what would have came out of that fridge.
Well, it's a good setup because it's like, yeah, what the heck's with the other fridge? And then we of course see like Misato's, Misato.
Yes.
Her livelihood. Her kidneys must be in a wreck of a state due to how much beer is in there, but
it shows you drank like 30 cans while they were eating.
Yeah. Jesus. Irresponsible, but hey, heck, if this was my job, having to defend the world from these giant monsters, I think I'd drink a lot also, just due to the sheer amount of stress that they're under, but that's just me. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the recap of the fight. this is what defined Evangelion for me. And I think this was one of the earliest adapters of a very cliche trope that you see in most shonen anime now, the berserk mode. And it's when they absolutely go animalistic. And I know you have a favorite sound effect here, but the Unit 1 roar is like the iconic thing to me, and it's the
that's it right there. Yes. Oh, it's so good.
And it's just like you can tell this is where most of the animation budget went between these two episodes. Because he was fast, he was nimble, he broke through the barrier thing, and it was just kind of interesting seeing something like that, because again, you never saw giant robots like that. They never moved like that before. It was always like, I'm going to shoot my rocket fist at you, boom, baby. And or it's like Power Rangers, which is like the sword slash or what have you. You've never seen robots like this. And of course, we'll know later on that the symbolism seen in the giant self-destruct explosion was more visual than anything symbolic. But we'll get to that as we go on. It was just a cool scene, and it makes up for the fact that for 2.5 episodes, or an episode and a half, nothing happens, or it's too much build up, and like because we see what happens after, like the aftermath of it, before we see what actually happens. But that's
that's an interesting episode structure. Like, I imagine it's because they only had so much budget to work with. So the first episode is like, sure, we'll introduce you to the major characters and why you should give a damn about this the city. And then in this episode, you're like, oh, you want to see the fight? Here's a few extra bucks. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, and then of course we see one of the creepiest little things about Ava's. They're wearing armor, and there's something squishy and alive under there, which is bleh.
I won't say too much, because if I get too much into it, it is a unbearably giant spoiler. So I won't.
Yeah, of course, don't.
I'm not going to. It's just that I forgot at how early they hint at it. I won't say what it hints at or how it is hinted at. There's just something that happens in this episode, in the first one. I forgot how early that is hinted at. But one of the, like you said, that these things are just, it's like consistently you don't know what anything is, because every second there is a new little blip of something where it's just like in Gundam, big robot man slash laser sword. Like there's more to it, but those shows are more about, hey, the government's fucked and we fight people because no one can get along. In this, it's like every time you see them, whether it be Angels or Ava units, you always see some weird, like, effed up detail. Before we get too much into just talking about that, I also have to say that one of my favorite things about this was the whole concept of Tokyo 3. That's just a building that can raise up out of the ground during the day to let people live.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
It has a lot more interesting world building in this episode, and I like that little detail.
Exactly. And before we get too much again to talking about just the fight, my God, I had the most genuine belly laugh I've had in a long time, because I forgot about that stupid can joke. Oh, when she pulled that can away and there was an even smaller one there, I lost it. Oh, God. Fuck, that was so funny.
I'm not usually into crass jokes like that, but that it's all in the execution for me.
Exactly. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Don't mind the mess. It's fine. There are cans everywhere.
Yeah, don't mind the mess. You literally can't see my apartment. It's fine.
I mean, for as much angst as this show has, it has some shockingly funny moments. Like, I love, like, okay, all the chores are fairly separated between us, and it's like you see Misato's name is only on there like 4 times, and Shinji is just like everywhere.
I think that would have been my biggest laugh. Just looking at the chore sheet.
Yeah, the view of her apartment, and I'm playing Cyberpunk currently, and that literally looks like every apartment complex I've ever seen. So I'm like, wow, good, I'm calling that one out.
Yeah.
And yeah, when they get past the laughter in Pen, like just that they were like, let's add something weird. That's in almost every mech anime. There's always the one character that is there specifically to be like, who on the staff came up with that person? In Gurren, it's Liron, and in here, it's Pen.
And they give Pen a lot of personality, even though you only see him for like 5 seconds. Just like him looking over at Shinji's like, "Come on, dude," and then walks back into his little fridge. And...
Yes, the fridge with like the beach chair and the TV.
Oh gosh, that looks nicer than most apartments.
Yeah, but you get to the meat and potatoes is what we're going to talk about mostly in this. Is that you get to see that Mitsuo is like his, like, basically computer programmer. Like, you need to make sure he's working properly. It wasn't that he's healthy. They said working properly.
Ugh.
And I'm just like, they do not care about it. Like, she does, obviously. But, like, she just got given a computer to make sure it doesn't break. And... like, well, I'm going to let Mike speak, and I was going to say the most part about this, but like, yeah, man, you cannot duplicate how great of a animalistic roar you get out of the first time that Ava goes nuts.
Yeah.
And like how it just fights, it doesn't even charge the first time. It does a full pole vaulted fucking front flip onto its shoulders. Just like, what? And yeah, and just everything with going apart and like fully heals the arm. Again, I can't talk too much about this fight but whatever. But Mike, again, you're the most freshest on this, so go.
So I'm a Dragon Ball fan, and the first thing that came to my mind when Unit 01 went into Berserk mode is Goku in Super reaching Ultra Instinct.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that was really cool. Seeing the Ava basically hulking out and just wrecking shop on that angel.
Oh gosh, and he grabs both of the angel's arms and just snaps him in half, kicks him, and then football tackles him into a building, and that building just keeps moving. Like, it's a brutal beatdown, and it's like, it's really intense, especially if you're a 9-year-old me. And it's like, I've never seen fights like this. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And also, this is another great example of the dad. I'm not even gonna pretend to remember his name. He's he's that much of an asshole.
Gendo, yeah.
Gendo.
Oh, that was just.
It's like, yes, we live separately. It's better that way. So you don't like your family. That was me the first time going, way to say you're an asshole the most kindest way possible.
It's better that way.
Yeah. And instantly, he's going to go live in a quarters on his own. No! Okay. He's going to live with me. And then after rewatching this, I'm thinking now, I'm like, okay, her job is to maintain this kid. She's going to live in an apartment on the other side of Tokyo in the country. And he was going to live in a quarters in the barracks underground. How is she going to maintain him?
No. Ugh. What? This whole world is forked over, man. Just like that Gendo. God dang it! I forgot how much I hated him. And I mean, it's cliche to say he's the worst anime dad, but he is the worst anime dad.
Yeah.
It's hard to find one who is more despicable, and I forgot exactly if he ever does improve, but it's just like, I don't think he will. Watching this,
it doesn't feel like he has more than one dimension.
I again am going to be stepping on so many eggshells as I try and talk about that dad, because I'll just say, spoiler alert, he becomes 10,000 times more of the fuckhead than he is now when you start to learn more about the ways he's protecting the city.
Oh yeah, no, I don't remember everything about this show, but I remember just how forked it gets. Just okay, this is the direction we're going. Buckle up.
Especially after Okara. I can't believe it's Okara is the guy who came up with this. Am I saying his name rightly?
Hideki Anno?
Ayano, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, I've been getting anime suggestions nonstop ever since people have been watching the Gurren Fresh Takes. Everyone's just like, you should watch more anime since you said you haven't watched a ton and you're finally getting more into it. And I'm just like, they're throwing producers' names at me. And I'm like, calm down. I'm not going to know all their work by those names.
Yeah, no, I have a hard time sometimes, unless it's a very specific film director or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm better with video game names like Hideki Itsuno, Hideki Kamiya. Like, I'm better with that stuff. But yeah. At the end of this episode, we get to see that there's like an amoeba inside this thing.
Oh.
And it opens that eye, and you get to see that Shinji is like
looking at it.
Not okay. Like physically, his brain is fucked. And they even mention that could be something that happens to him. Like they're talking about, okay, he's probably messed up, and this is the ways that he's messed up. Like a genuine, just normal conversation.
Yeah.
Like they're having tea. Like, I forgot just how much even the people that do care about him in their own special ways don't care about him.
It's tough because they just see him as a pilot, and it's just like, especially when like they talk about Rey again, it's just like, okay, she'll be fine in 20 days. Okay, fine, whatever. That'll happen. It's just like, God.
It's very dehumanizing the way they treat 14-year-olds. Let's remind the audience, 14-year-olds.
Yes. The exact quote was, do we really expect these to still be continued to be piloted by 14-year-olds? As long as they're alive, yes, they will be.
And it's like, and we see like subtle bits of like behind the scenes storytelling with, I think Ava Unit 0 is the one that we see also.
Hole in the wall?
Yeah, the hole in the wall. And then the giant cross sticking out of its back.
Ooh.
And it's like, okay, what happened there? Like something happened there that caused Rey to just be the guilty vote, the shaming device for Shinji to finally get into robots.
Yeah, and we're gonna again this show. People, when it got put up on Netflix, I'm known among my friends as the guy that like mech animes because no one else does. And I try to suggest to them that they don't understand what a mech anime is because most of them outside of Gundam is the mechs are there to push the story forward and the story happens outside of them. The fights just look really cool. Another reason why I like Gurren so much because self-confidence, all that stuff, the main driving force is believing in yourself. That's why I love it so much. And I try to explain it to people. And when they finally get that through their freaking skulls and they watch it, they're like, oh, so these are what mech animes are like. I'm like, some of them, not all. Some are like what you say. And in here, like I said, the general storytelling, like that whole vat and cage that the Zero unit is in, like even the room they're standing in to watch it has like damage.
Yeah, like so, I'm assuming that I will probably hear about this in later episodes. That thing probably went berserk, and then they just had to shut that thing down. And
yeah, exactly. And there's more stuff. I want to so bad say things, but I can't.
Yeah, no, I understand. Now we're very early on, so it's like it's hard since
Yeah, and it's just that it's worse because like when I was going through, like, I'm gonna try so hard to stop doing this, but it's the only fresh takes we've done, so the way I did things was different. I could gradually like kind of coax Mike through it because it wasn't until like episode 9 that you really got your first stab at how things really are in the show, and you get to see where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Watching this show back, knowing how it goes and then seeing stuff earlier, I'm just like, damn it, I want to talk about that right now because there's hints at it already.
Yeah. By the way, I find it kind of funny that they sent Ava Unit 1 up to fight the Angel and didn't give him any weapons. It's just like, here, go up, bye, good luck.
Yeah, this is probably one of the worst examples of throwing your main character in the deep end. This is like if
Yeah.
This is like if Piccolo sent Gohan to fight Vegeta and Nappa without that year of training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then it's what's funny is like after the cleanup situation, like that they show them carrying a giant machine gun, and it's like, oh, that
Now
would have been nice to have
yeah,
like
now it's here.
like 5 hours ago.
Yeah, and I love the purpose whenever you see one of these giant machines being hauled around, it's normally like signage or whatever that they put these towels on them to prevent indentation from what's carrying it. Why do you give two shits what that giant rifle looks like?
It's like it's like someone wrapping a present for Christmas badly, just like
Exactly.
it's like, oh, I bet you can't tell what this is. No, it's a gun. It's a gun.
Cool.
I mean, it's all kind of interesting to see some of this stuff, and all this is doing is reminding me of a giant robot anime I love called Die Guard, where they make a pretty good emphasis on like making sure that you know that the paperwork and the behind the scenes stuff. It's kind of like Hot Fuzz in that regard, where it's like it has like all the giant robot fights and fun stuff. We'll have to probably watch it for fresh takes. It's one of my like favorite mech anime, because I grew up with it. But they make sure to show that like there's a lot of Japanese political business baloney that goes into like these things. You can't just be like send out the giant robots. No, it's like no, you got to sign this, got to sign that, put your name here, there, and it's like. I mean, and I'm just saying this because I'd like that we see a little bit of the cleanup and whatnot, and you get to see that everyone has to wear those like hazmat suits and whatnot.
Yes.
But I don't know what they're also trying to get there because the Angel blew up. There's probably not a whole lot left there, but who knows? They could be like, oh yeah, we got something there like 5 episodes later. I forgot.
Yeah, and I love how the Angel, and like every time I see it, I'm just like, why? I'm like, the Angel has a self-destruct sequence. I'm like,
kind of, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's cool. I'm always just like, huh?
Yeah, no, and it turns into that blobbish kind of form as it wraps around the unit, unit one.
Mm-hmm.
But golly, no, I'm happy we got to this episode because, like we said last time, it's like there's not a lot to talk about. But now
this is of the two that we've seen so far. This is probably my favorite because this is the one where you really start to learn more about what's going on in this world. What are these angels? I mean, we don't really learn too much, but we at least get to see what they can do and how exactly these Evas are going to defend the city against them.
Oh yeah. Oh, and we'll actually see this, I think, in the next episode, if I remember correctly. Evas are hooked up to giant wires.
Oh, you saw it in this one.
Yep. I noticed that.
And I remember when I was younger, that was my least favorite thing about it because it's like, no, don't keep them on a leash. Just make them.
Yeah, what's even the point of berserk mode if you can't like fully go berserk?
Exactly.
He's just lucky that the wire was long enough.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see like someone make a compilation of like anime cool moments gone wrong, where like they have the Eva do the vaulting flip and it stops seconds before it's gonna hit the Angel.
I'm surprised that I'm sure there's a mech anime parody or a parody anime somewhere that will make fun of that kind of stuff, but I haven't seen it yet. Who knows if it exists, but I would love to see them kind of like poke fun at that kind of thing. Sounds like a keep your hands off of Isaacin kind of thing.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying in that regards that they would actually focus on that detail. Like, do we want to hook them up to a wire or have some big nuclear battery or whatever?
Yeah, and again, I can't talk about it too much, but there is a lot of people who have not seen this but have seen Darling in the Franxx.
Oh.
There is, if you want to talk about Gurren and other thing, this is Darling in the Franxx is if Gurren and Eva had a child.
Oh.
Good or a bad child?
Good and bad. Because because what's interesting about it, and like that is another one that I want to do for fresh takes, but I'm going to let us do 4 to 5 to 6 different things in between it because I don't want this to only be a mech thing.
Oh, yeah,
And that is basically the only other big one that I have set because we did Gurren and Ava. I was like, at some point we got to do their love child that Trigger did. And it's good in a way, but in the first 5 minutes, and I shit you not, 5 minutes, you go, are they remaking Evangelion? and like in the last 7 episodes, basically A1 Pictures and Trigger split because they couldn't agree on a story anymore.
Oh,
and then it just goes whoop in a very familiar direction that I cannot wait to see. Mike's, I know because he's only seen Gurren once. Yours, I don't know if you've seen most of it, but like it's a very weird to do with thing, and it has the same problems that people had weirdly with, like we saw in this first episode, but made 3 years ago.
Interesting.
No, I mean it's it's as easy it is to dunk on like Evangelion and whatnot. It's easy to forget how many anime franchises or shows were made to get off of the popularity of Evangelion. I mean, we had Razapon, which I really like that one just because of the cool angelic looking mech. It kind of reminds me of Escaflowne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we had this other one which I forgot, and it takes like all the hatefulness that you see in Evangelion, makes it 10 times worse. And I think it's an OVA or something like that, and it's not a good Evangelion ripoff, but there were a lot, and for better or worse, a lot more anime characters became Shinji archetypes.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, I'd have to find it again, but
okay. Yeah. Let me know. I wouldn't mind watching. I'm always up for watching a new mech anime.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shinji, how did you guys feel about the end of this episode? It kind of it ends on a very kind of down. It's kind of bittersweet because Shinji's just lying there, thinking about the events that happened. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. What? Who am I? Why am I here? What's going on?
It's so hard for me to talk about this because I don't remember in what order things start being revealed to him about what's going on around him. So I am trying so hard to keep my thoughts in the moment of the episode. But yeah, it's just because you see him reacting as if basically in this episode that he just like blacked out, the fight happened, and then they were done. And he acts like that happened. And that's one thing I love about the structure of this episode is you kind of feel like Shinji didn't feel like the fight had happened. And he's just dealing with life after he blacked out and saved everyone. Because they're like, he saved people and he doesn't react. Like he doesn't know what goes on. And he just goes through life. And then all of a sudden you're like, how are you okay like this level of okay, which is not okay after having just experienced that? I think he's fine, but like he's just in a trance in the thing, and like obviously with the tub, he was in the SC. I can't remember the fluid that he was in as he got injected to go through the tube. But
the orange juice. No,
yeah, pretty much. It's abbreviations of letters, and it's SC something, I think. But he is just in the start of the Shinji gets his balls kicked in on a regular basis arc, which is the entire show. And he's at one of the better places that he's ever been. I'll just say that.
For now.
For now.
So, and I know this is probably something based on the commentary about Japan or whatnot, but I just find it funny that anytime these giant mech anime happen, there's always that room of board members who are just like, you're costing us too much money. And it's like, oh my gosh, who cares? Stop mattering about that when you're still alive. Like, only if you knew what's going to happen later. You like, woo.
Yeah. Cam, you said this was from the same director as Shin Godzilla.
Yes.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it's the same guy. And apparently he's going to make an Ultraman movie. So,
Okay.
What?
well, apparently, I don't know if it's like a rumor or something, but they're going to do like a quote unquote a Shin Ultraman, and I think Ano's going to work on it also. So
I don't even know what that means.
if it's anything like Ultraman Nexus, then I'm going to dread it. So
I've never seen Ultraman Nexus.
oh, it was during that time when like a lot of tokusatsu shows like Power Rangers and Kamen Rider were going through that angsty teen phase of like in dark and gritty phase. And it was just like, you don't want that with something like Ultraman. Not that you can't, but
You don't want that. Why?
no, it's like it's all the giant robots and the super pump up music and whatnot,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and the giant rubber outfits. But no, Hideki Anno, I know a lot of people love him. He's a hit or miss kind of guy for me because it's like I get what he wants to do, but then I feel like he leans too much on what he wants, and then everything else gets lost. And of course, considering how Nadia, Shin Godzilla, and how Evangelion's apparently going to go,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, where we are right now, it's hard to say whether or not I'm liking the show. I'm still a little green, but what I like so far are I like the dynamic between Shinji and Misato. I love Pen Pen. Pen Pen is the best,
As you should.
and I think this has the most unique fight sequences of any mecha that I've seen.
They're weird.
Yeah.
They're weird. They're very animalistic, and that's not something that you see often in the genre.
No, and get ready for a juggling of tone because sometimes they'll be very goofy and quirky, and then they'll be super serious.
That's
Like,
the part
no laughs,
that's the
fun
part I'm
allowed.
nervous about.
If it's anything like that, Warlords of Sigrifa anime that came out the last anime season, where it's like super dark in a lot of ways, but then it goes super goofy. Like Mike, you remember I talked about this one at the with the fall 2020 anime season. It's like that's always the problem with I don't know. I always juggle when I watch mecha anime with the whole thing of like, do I want a more serious show, or do I want something more like the Getter Robo, where it's just like I want to punch a dinosaur tank because heck yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So I'll have to see how I go with this because, like I said, I remember loving it and then just kind of dropping it. So.
Mike, I will say this. Basically, did you like the progression in? Again, people, reset the clock. I'm mentioning Gurren again. Did you like the progression of how they had tones where basically they would do the silliness, build up to really serious moment, gain from it, and then kind of go back, gain from it, and then season 2 was like, shit's bad. We're still going to have some moments, but the show's coming to an end, so we need to be serious. Did you like that?
Ultimately, I did. In the serious moments, I was getting a little frustrated, mostly because I did not. There was a period where I didn't like Rossiu.
There's a period where no one likes Rossiu.
But
to get back off of that, I had a friend finally watch it after you, and she started the second season, and she messaged me and goes, Rossiu's going to turn bad, isn't he? And then she got up to the court case, and she sent me that gif of Matthew Perry from Friends saying, I knew it!
Oh, that's going to be great.
But this, picture that almost every 4 to 5 episodes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm admittedly kind of dreading moving forward.
I'm just kind of excited to see all the different angel designs because if you think this first one was creepy, they get pretty creative. I know there's one coming up, and I think it might be halfway through or something that I'm just going to hate because I just feel like it's like now knowing that this show ran out of money, it's like, oh no, we can't do I can't spoil it. I can't.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't learn about that until after, because you'll notice that like it's not as bad as the episode 4 of Gurren, where it's literally a different art style.
Oh
And-
yeah,
but
I was telling Mike about that. Saying like,
Yeah.
oh, tell me when you get to the controversial episode, and he was like, what? And it's like, and then he posted the episode 4, and I was like, there we go.
Yep. Like, for people that don't know, take a shot of Kamina's face from episode 5, then take a shot of Kamina's face from episode 4, and notice how many lines you see on his face in episode 4. But yeah, there's they basically get more into the heavier handed stuff later on. And also, again, the director went, fuck the kids, we're gonna be serious. And I cannot wait. I wish I could just watch the last episode with you to see how this show ends, because I can't properly explain to people how it gets to that point, and they were okay with ending the show there.
Oh, this is what I'm dreading, because
I can't.
The ending to the show might be the reason why we cover the movies.
It might be, because I could tell you it right now, and you wouldn't be able to come up with how they got there.
No, don't, but yeah.
But yeah, it's different.
One final thing I want to bring about this episode, and I forgot about this in the entire series. This show is about to get horny.
Yep.
Oh, really?
You're either gonna be an Oscar girl or a Ray girl. You decide which one you like.
Yeah, no, I like rewatching it. I was just like, was it always this horny and just kind of about sex at some points? And then it's like going into like the vault in the back of my head, and it's like, oh yes, it was.
That is the same problem where I said Darlene and the Franks is weird. They have like 9 pilots, and all of them are identified quite clearly as being 16 at like the oldest. And part of how they synchronize to be better pilots, they basically say at one point is to say the hornier they feel, the better the pilot. But they say it in a very scientifically accurate, like, I guess that makes sense kind of way.
That's what happened. That was weird. That's one of the weird things I like also took off from Evangelion, like rip-offs and whatnot, where they got horny and then some of them got super rapey, and it's like, let's not take that from Evangelion. Let's just take the cool robot designs and monster designs and just kind of work off of that, and not take all the yikes off like with it and such. Just it's like I said, the whole Evangelion ripoff scene was a lot.
Yeah, I'm about to share. I need to bring this over here. I am about to share the picture of how they pilot the Avas, or not the Avas, the Franks, and Darlene and the Franks. We need to screen.
Oh gosh,
where are we? Here we go.
I remember. I think. Oh no. Oh no. Oh
yeah,
no.
And then on the back of their heads is the basically the vital outreads for how the pilot goes.
Oh, God, this is reminding me of Go Daner. This was a lot of like this. Oh gosh.
And like, the show's awesome. I love it, but there's points where you're like, wow, why couldn't they all be 18?
It's just, anime is a young person's game, unfortunately. So
yeah. And like, they get away with why they do it. Like I said, basically male pilots get horny, their instincts are better inside the pilot seats. But anyway, we're getting too far away from it.
Yeah.
And this one's almost 40 minutes long. But yeah. So Mike, you said your overall thoughts. Me and Cam have seen it, so we know kind of what's coming. Now that I'm thinking about it, basically, we're going to say our thoughts and everything on the show. I think the best way to end them, since you're the most fresh person on this, at the end, you should just keep tabs on your feelings of the show, period.
Like at that point in time.
And have that kind of ready at the end.
I like that. So far where I'm at is I like what I'm seeing, but my feelings are still underdeveloped.
Yeah, I agree. Like just going back through this, cool animation and mech fights. I'm slowly starting to remember a lot of the stuff that I hate about this show. So we'll have to get there when we get there. So
Oh, we will, and we got a lot of episodes to go. But this one is going to only take like 14 weeks to get together, so it's not that bad. And if there's days where you guys want to record more, I don't care because I don't have a life. But you guys do a lot more than I do. So
I'm having a lot of fun with this. So it's like I could go on for like another 2 episodes. So
yeah. Sweet. Yeah, like I said, we basically do this Saturdays, Cam. So just we'll keep this ready and keep a steady schedule. We're going to stay ahead at this rate. When we finish this show, I will have had a year of content straight on the channel, and that is quite exciting for me.
Oh yeah,
Even if it's once a week, that's pretty phenomenal. So, and we can't say what, but we do have a show lined up after this that we got Kiona on that I'm quite excited that we're not going to say until the end of this episode, because again, you won't know what it is until 36 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while, but
we're getting ahead. But I'm okay
promise it's worth it.
It's well worth it. The guy who's with it is our guy Kiona from Renegade, and he lost his mind when he found out that I have not fully seen the show we're going to do. So again, it always won't be shows. We're going to try and mix movies in, but this helps keep the content flow going, and this is super easy to do, and we're all having fun doing it. So there we go. Cam, once again, I know this is kind of weird doing this twice in a day, but they'll see this a week later. Where can they find you? What are you working on?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. You can also find me at my website camseyeview.biz, and I do a series of reviews called The Other Side of Animation, where I take a look at other like non-Disney, non-Pixar animated films. Though I am starting to break into like every once in a while I'll do a Disney or Pixar film, just because those are fun to do. And you know, I got my screener for Soul, so I got to see the whole film early.
Nice.
So I was like, yeah, fine. I'll break that one rule that I had that I never really wanted to keep anyway. So
you're just trying to be different. I get it. It's good.
Yeah. No. And by the time we see this, like, I don't know what I'll be reviewing by that point, but I have a list of.
Don't even try, man. I tried to do the math for when the PS5 was going to come out with Gurren, and I was off by so much.
No, so it's like, just keep an eye out. I sometimes will talk about it, and though I can't wait to do a February episode with Mike. We're going to talk about some Chinese animated films called like with Whitesnake, Neza, and Zhang Jia, which if you look at the trailers for those are great. And if you buy the Blu-ray for Whitesnake and go to the Animation is Film Q&A, you can actually see me there.
Nice.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this again. I like flaunting this because it's like, yeah, I got a cameo. That my one IMDb credit, the person in the crowd.
That's the same with me. I sadly have one that won't apply to me anymore, though, because this will be in effect by the time this gets up. My name is Brock Emmerich now. By the time this is up, I will have my name changed to Brock Hatfield for personal reasons and not good things with. Guess what? This is really appropriate to announce it now. My dad's also a shithead. So I will be changing that. I had a credit on John Schnepp's Superman Lives because I was one of the supporters.
Nice.
But it's under Emmerich and not Hatfield, so no one's going to anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm sorry if I cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh, no. It's just like I have a Patreon at patreon.com/CamsEyeView, and I'm the co-host of the Renegade Animation Podcast on Renegade Pop Culture, and you can find me in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'll post there from time to time about some animation stuff that we might want to do and whatnot. So
nice.
Yeah.
Do me a favor also. I'm going to try and do better with this one since we're going to actually be having different people on it. Send me the links for everything, and I will put it in the comments of the YouTube video.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
That'll work out better for everyone. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Mike, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Twitter at RenPopCulture. our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups RPC42. All our podcasts, including Renegade Animation, are featured on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, and they can all be found on renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Especially nowadays, because I don't know what the world's going to be like then, but we're
Yeah.
still in the middle of quarantine right now. I don't know what the world's going to be in 30 weeks, so I can't tell. But
Yeah.
you can find me at Organoid Zero on Twitch. I'm going to be getting better at starting that stuff, since by the time this is out, I'll actually have more games available to play on the PS5. I won't say what they are because I have no clue of guessing when I'll be streaming. These go up, excuse me, every Monday. Unless this past week's Gurren, which I was waiting on a cameo that I got, which I was quite happy with. So Mondays typically with this, and then if we have stuff lined up enough to where this gets super far ahead and we're also doing the other show we're talking about, we'll have to figure out what day we want to do that. So there'll be another show coming up that we're working on that we decided what it's going to be, and we're quite freaking excited. Oh man, go home, you silly. School's over. If any of you know what that's from, you will know what we're doing. But yeah, we will see you guys next time, and see you later.
Bye.
Peace.